So this is a Python fundamental class, right? So, yeah, my screen is visible to you people, I think. So to teach you this class, I'm using a very simple IDE. It's called idle, right? And I'm using the Python shell. Fine. So, uh, so this is a Python shell, and you can install the Python by going to the website called python.org. You just go to the website at python.org, and you go to downloads, and you can download the Python, and you can easily install the Python in your computer. Fine. And Python comes with all the options because all the batteries are installed in Python. So you don't have to worry for installing any other thing than Python, right? And it comes with the tool called idle, right? And the name of the tool is called REPL. Okay, so the name of the tool, the Python comes up with a tool called REPL. Fine. So Python REPL tool, right? And name of this REPL tool is called Python idle. Python idle. So the REPL stands for read. R stands for read. E stands for evaluate. P stands for print, and L stands for loop. Fine. So why it is called a repel tool or read, evaluate, print loop? Because when you go to the idle, right? When see let me open the idle once again. So IDLE idle. So when I give a command here, say for example print, I'm giving the command welcome to Python. Python. Then what it will do, it will print the information, and again the shell is back, right? So that is why it is called, first it will read the command print, and then it will evaluate the command print command, and then what it will do, it will print the information, right? And the shell is back again. Okay, so that is why it is called read, evaluate, and print loop. Okay, I'm telling you again, if you are losing the concentration, because few people have not done the meditation about Python, so they might get confused regarding this thing. So I'm just kidding about this thing. Print welcome to Python, right? So what is happening over here? Okay, when I have issued this command, right? When I have issued this command, right? Python reads this command. It reads, right? It reads. Then what it will do? It will evaluate, right? Then it will generate the output. Print means output. Print means output, right? Output. It will generate the output, and after generating the output, shell is ready again. Shell is ready again, ready again, to, again, next next command, for next command to input, right? So that is why it is called a repel tool, right? So if you are familiar with other languages like Java, right? So in Java, many people have done programming in BlueJ, right? In BlueJ, in the BlueJ editor, we have something called CodePad. So CodePad is also a kind of a repel tool, right? But a repel tool directly never comes with Java, right? It comes only with BlueJ IDE. But nowadays, Java people have launched a Java shell also. So that shell is also called repel tool, right? And in Java shell also, we can write down the code and we can see the output of the code and we can test the function in Java. But I'm not showing you that thing because we are studying Python over here. Okay. So this is a concept about Python repel tool, right? I hope everyone has understood the concept of repel tool or shell, right? So shell, right? We call it Python shell. Python shell, right? So what is Python shell made up of, right? So it is made up of something called interpreter. Interpreter. So interpreter interprets the command and generates the output. Interpreter interprets the command and generates the output. It's a very simple thing. So Python shell contains one interpreter, and whenever we write any command, if it is understandable to the computer, then it will generate the output. So it's a very simple thing. Okay, in the Python, there is no complications out there. Okay. So the next question is there, ki who developed the Python, right? Who developed Python? So there is a scientist. His name is Guido van Rossum. Guido van Rossum. He developed Python, right? He developed. He started developing Python in 1989, and the project got completed in 1991, right? So date of birth of Python is date of birth of Python is 20th February 1991, right? I've taken this from a book, right? I have to check it through internet also. You can check it through internet also, no issues. Fine. So this is the date of the Python, and 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 why the name Python? Because the main reason the name Python is given by the Gurdjieff and Rossum is because he's not fascinated with the Python animal, right? He gave the name of the Python because he likes one fun show called Monty Python Circus. That is a fun show, like Kapil Sharma show. Okay, in nowadays we have a Kapil Sharma show. So Monty Python Circus, right? So yeah, Monty Python Flying Circus. That's true. So Monty Python Flying Circus. So from there he gave the name Python. So Python is basically made for fun programming, right? He's not serious about it. Okay, this language is going to be so big and huge hit nowadays, but he was not sure about it. So he has written this code for fun only, right? And the result is awesome. Okay. So you must enjoy coding, right? So such that you can develop new things. Fine. So Python has released three versions, right? Python 1.0, Python 1.0, then Python 2.0 is released. After that, Python 2.0 is released. We can say 1.x, not 1.0. It will be 1.x. Then Python 2.x is generated, then Python 3.x. We are using Python 3.x. So we are going to study Python 3.x, right? We are not going to study Python 1.x or 2.x. We are going to directly study Python 3.x, right? Because Python doesn't support backward compatibility, right? So point to be noted, Python won't support backward compatibility. Fine. So if a project is developed in Python 2.x, right? So it is not at all supported by Python 3.x, right? So you cannot update your project by using the new Python language. So you have to use the old Python language if the project is written in 2.x, right? If the project is written in 3.x, then you cannot use Python 2.x in the 3.x, right? So 3.x is totally different than Python 2.x. Okay. So these are the basic, this is a basic introduction regarding Python, right? So similarly, Python, if anyone asks you, okay, what do you mean by Python? So your answer will be, what do you mean by Python programming language? What do you mean by Python programming language? Language. So answer is very much simple. Okay, answer is Python is a general purpose. Python is a general purpose. Python is a general purpose, high, high level programming language. Right. Suhit has asked one question that key, why do they change the basis in every major update? Right. The main thing is this key Python was suffering uh, very it's very much important point which I'm discussing. Python was still now it is suffering uh, performance issue. Performance issue. Right. Issue. Right. So for that reason, right? For that reason, they dumped most of the methods used in Python 2.x, right? So in Python 3.x, few performance issues is being resolved, right? So that is what Python is suffering. So for that reason, they dumped the Python 2.x, right? So that is not the case with the Java, right? In Java or in C++, we call they never dumped anything, right? Because there is no performance issue in C++ or in Java. The main they always develop a new class or new concept, and the old concept is called legacy concept, right? Old concept is called legacy concept in Java, right? So they keep the old versions also, right? No issue if you are using old version or if you are using newer version, right? So if you are writing with the newer version program, then your performance will be much more better, right? In Java. Evenly same thing happens with the Python also, but Python doesn't support the back versions, right? You have to select one version of Python and keep on writing your project. Fine. S- So that is the thing. Okay. So for that reason, they they dumped the older methods because they have some performance issues, right? So I'm not going into detail. I'll come up slowly, slowly. You will understand because this is the first class, right? So slowly, slowly, you will also understand ki why the 2.x methods or concepts were dumped, right, when they have released Python 3.x. Fine. So you will also understand. But few concepts remain same as Python 2.x or in Python 3.x also. Okay, so Python is a general purpose high level language. General purpose high level programming language, right? So so you can think that Python may be influenced by few programming languages. Fine. Python is influenced with few programming languages. Basically, when Rossum have created this language, he didn't thought about the performance, right? What he has done, he has taken the concept of functional programs from C, functional functional programming from C language, right? Then he took the object-oriented concept from C++, right? OOP concept of C++, but it is not fully implemented. That is also an issue, right? Functional programming from C language, OOP of C++ language. Um, Rishabh, you have asked me the same question which Suhit has asked. So I have already answered the question. Just for the performance issue, right? Just for the performance issue, the methods or the functions were dumped in 2.x, right? And they have created newer and better perform methods in 3.x, right? And Python is influenced with a few programming languages like functional programming from C language is there, object-oriented programming of C++, right? Then scripting language from Perl or shell scripting languages, language from Perl and shell scripting or shell script, right? In Unix or Linux operating system or in Mac, you have shell script also, right? So it has taken the influence from there also, right? Modular programming from modular programming from Modula 3, right? So it has taken many concepts from many programming language and it has implemented in one language called Python. So that is why Python is Python is multi-paradigm language. Multi-paradigm language. Paradigm language. Paradigm language. Fine. So this is why Python is called multi-paradigm language, because it is object oriented, it is scripting, it is modular, it is functional, right? So it has got all the good features of all the good features of every programming language, right? So you can say that in India we used to prepare खिचड़ी. तो जब भी आदमी का डाइजेशन खराब होता है वी यूज टू हैव अ खिचड़ी, राइट? सो पाइथन, if you want to develop a software, Python is a very good language, or the software prototype, Python is a very good language because you can perform multiple things in only one language. You don't need multiple languages to do multiple tasks. But in real life, if we want to solve any problem, we need to use multiple tools or multiple things, right? But Python is very good for prototyping of a software, right? Python language language is very good, is very good. Python language is a very good choice for prototyping, typing of prototyping of big software, prototyping of big software. Fine. It is a very nice software for developing a prototype of a big software in 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 less amount of time, in less in less amount of uh, in less amount of time, or it's wrong, it's very in little amount of time, in very little amount of time, in, or you can say that in very short notice, in very short notices. Right. So that is why the Python is the first choice of all the people who are working at the top level. Fine. So they use this language and they develop the prototype with the help of their colleagues, and they can such that they can give the prototype to the client and get the software contract. Right. Later on, they use different tools to solve the problem. Okay, so this is the way Python is used practically, which I have seen in my life. But you can use Python for developing many kind of many areas also, right? So so where we can use Python, right? The next question is where we can use Python. So so we can use Python. We can use Python. Number one, we can develop desktop applications, applications like calculator, like OneNote, right? These kind of applications also we can develop. Okay. The number two is web applications. We can develop websites, right? Web applications, all right? So in Python, we have web servers like Flask and Django, right? Number three, we can develop database applications. We can develop database applications, right? Okay. Uh, Web applications like web servers. We in Python we have web servers like Django or Flask. Okay, there are many over here. I'm just writing two names, Django and Flask. Number three is database applications. Number four is for networking applications, for networking applications, right? Data analysis, for data analysis, and data analysis. Number six, we can develop games. We can develop games. Uh, Rishabh, that is a later on question, right? Django, Flask, there are many things. So it depends upon your need, what kind of website you want to make. So it depends upon your need. According to that, you select the options Django or Flask. Right? We can develop games. We can develop. We can use the Python in machine learning. We can develop AI applications. AI applications. And number nine is for IoT applications also. IoT applications also, right? We can use Python, right? And there are many more areas where we can use Python, right? The only area Python is not in use is Python is not used, right? That is called mobile applications. We cannot develop mobile applications with Python. There is loads of issues over here, right? The next is enterprise application. Enterprise application, because we cannot develop this enterprise applications where means where performance is very much important, right? So in these two areas, I always say don't use Python, right? Concurrency application, concurrency applications, right? If concurrency applications means ki the applications used to do bank transaction or the financial transactions, that also is not done with the help of Python, right? Because main thing may be like some performance issues or some there are some issues out there in Python internals. So for that reason, people are not using it. Evenly, I have also faced many issues with this, right? So I'm not using it for my software development. Okay. So these are, but Python is useful in many areas, right? But anyhow, in the world, you can see that a person without any disadvantage is not a person. He will become a god, right? So there are some advantages and there are some disadvantages. If there are more advantages, then that person is a good person. Less disadvantage, more advantage, less disadvantage. That means the person is a good person, right? So Python is a very good language and it is a language for the future, right? In few areas it won't work properly, but in most of the areas it works fantastically, right? So I always say go for Python. Okay. If you are developing your own applications, own small kind of applications, then you can go for a Python, right? So features of the Python, right? So let's discuss the features of Python. So next thing is features of the Python. Features of Python. So features of Python. Number one, the best point is simple and easy to learn and easy to learn, right? So so Python is very easy to learn. It is, if you compare it with C++, you will say ki C++ is a rubbish language, right? After using Python. So the next best thing about Python is freeware. It is a freeware and open source. Okay. So Python will not ask you a single paisa and it is open source. So you can download the source code of the Python and you can customize the source code. Okay. Next point is high level programming language. High level programming language. Language, right? And next is it is platform independent language. Form independent language. So you can say it follows WORA, WORA. WORA stands for write once, run anywhere. Write once, run anywhere. Right. Next important point about Python is portability. So Python programs are portable. You can port from one platform to another platform very easily, right? So portability, just try to understand difference between platform independence and portability, right? So this is your Python program, right? This is your Python program. So Python program, then in uh, Python program can be run on any platform like Windows, fine, Mac, Unix, Unix, Linux, Linux, Sun Solaris, REST. So these are all different operating system names, right? All these are platform. So Python programs can run on any platform, right? Say for example, portability means, so portability means, sorry, P O, just a minute, let me take the eraser. P-O-R-T, portability, portability. So this is platform independence. This one is platform independence. Independence. Yes. This is platform independence. Portability means that your Python program is written in Windows. Python program is written in Windows. And now you are shifting the Python program in Mac. So this is Mac, right? So you can shift the Python program to Mac and it will work properly, right? So next point about, it's very simple concept. You have written the program in Windows, copied it and pasted in Mac. So that is and it is start working. So that is called portability of the program, right? It is very much portable. You don't have to write it twice. Okay. So next point is that this point is being asked in many interviews, right? Why Python? So why Python is dynamically typed language? Dynamically typed language. Many people have asked this question in many interviews. Programming, GE, right? So, so why Python is dynamically typed programming language? Okay, so the answer is basically in Python, right? What we do in Python, say for example, we go to Python and I'll show you why it is called dynamically typed language. So for example, you have declared a variable here, x is equal to 10, right? And you have written here x and you can see it is holding 10, right? Now, what I'm doing here, I'm writing here x equal to, and then I'm writing here, right? Welcome to the world of Python. Python. The same variable is now holding the string, right? So this is outstanding, right? If I have written this code in Java, say for example, I have declared a variable x, which is of type integer, and suddenly, and in the next line, if I'm writing x is equal to some name, then definitely Python compiler will give me a left and right, right? It will show you a 20 line error. Okay, you have done this for the Java, right? You have done a very big crime in Java. But Python will not do this thing, right? Python will automatically accept the this change, right? Directly, it because the variable of the Python is used to accept the data, right? And the main reason is that the Python variables are not predefined, right? They are not predefined. They will define depending upon the data, right? So that is the main reason why Python is called dynamically typed language, right? Now again, I have assigned here x is equal to 10.5, right? So now I can check the data type of the Python by writing a command called type, and I'm writing here x over here, and then I'm writing here class float, right? So it is showing that the class is float. Now if I'm writing here x is equal to 20, right? Now if I write here type of x, right? So now you can see that class is int, right? So basically it is not a data type like in Java, right? In Java we have some primitive types, right? In Python we don't have anything primitive types. Everything is a reference type. Everything is a reference type. Fine. So uh, Rishabh, I'm coming to your question later on. Okay. I've got your question, but I will coming to the question later on. Okay, so welcome to the world of Python. That means it is accepted string, it has accepted double value or the float value, and it has accepted the integer value, right? So when I'm writing this, when again I'm writing this, and now you can see the data type, how data type is changing, right, during runtime. So if I'm writing here type of x, then now you can see the type of x is string, right? So that is why Python is called dynamically typed language, right? So because the variable is dependent upon the data type, sorry, the data which I'm entering into it, right? So home control C. So here what is happening, okay, the variable is depending, the Python variables, the Python variables are are objects. The Python variables are objects. Okay. So they their definition is dependent upon dependent upon the data supplied or data assigned to them, right? So that is why so so that is why Python is dynamically typed language, right? As the given code in the left side, as the given code in the left side, left side, right? So here, first Python is integer here. Here type is integer. Here type is string, right? Here the type is float, right? Okay, so you can see the class over here, right? Class float. It is writing class int. It is writing class int. That means this is object type, right? Okay. So this you can see the type here. Type X I've written. So type is string. str. Str means string. Str means string, right? So Python is dynamically typed programming language, right? This is one of the important point, right? So the next important point is Python is object oriented. So Python is both both procedure oriented, procedure oriented and object oriented and object oriented. Okay. The next thing is The Python is interpreted. Next point is Python is interpreted. Python is interpreted. 9, the next point is Python is extensible, right? It's an extensible language, right? Say for example, we have some code in Java, fine. So basically we can convert that Java code into the Python code also, right? So Python is extensible, right? So to improve the performance of the Python, sometimes what we do, we write the program in other language, right? And we can compile it, and we can transfer the object code to the Python to improve the performance of the application. So Python is extensible, right? And this feature came in 3.x, right? So this is very much important feature. Python is extensible, right? So I'm writing here, okay, say for example, whatever language, whatever, whatever other language code, other language code, code, we can insert other, whatever other language means ki other language code we can insert in Python. But we need tools for this, right? But we need tools. This idle will not sufficient. This idle is not sufficient, but idle will support that tool, right? So whatever other language code, right? We can insert in Python, right? We can insert in Python to improve the performance of the application. Performance of the application. So this is the best part of Python 3.x, and that is why I feel that students should know Python, right? There is a future. So that's why I've started this class. So to improve the performance of the application. So this is one of the best feature in Python 3.0 or 3.x. We don't say 3.0, we'll say 3.x because it will generate many versions. 3.x. Okay, so this is the best thing. There is another point regarding Python which also I likes. Okay, this is also came in 3.x, that is called embedded, right? Python is embedded. So you can embed the Python language in in any of the electronics, right? So we can use the Python language, right? We can use the Python program in other languages also, right? So we can, oh sorry, we can use the Python program to to support other languages also, other languages also, right? So that is also a very nice feature. With this feature has also came in Python 3.x, right? And another thing about Python is extensive library, right? Extensive library. So they have provided a huge amount of APIs, right? They have provided huge amount of APIs. So that is also very much useful, right? So APIs are basically application program interface, and those programs were written for you. You have to call the program and that program will work for you, right? Okay. Acha, embedded means there is another word we can use, extremely pluggable, or you can say that key means pluggable. We can use a word pluggable. Pluggable means you can carry it anywhere and you can plug it, it will work, right? So Python, you need a plugins for this to do embedded programming, right? I will teach you those things also. Don't worry, the class will go on till I feel. So so that is another thing, right? So limitations of Python, I have taught you already. So these are the features of Python, but Python have some limitations, right? Limitation of Python. I have already said about this thing. So first limitation, mobile programming. First is performance. Till now, performance. It needs to improve performance, maybe performance, performance, right? So performance is the main issue in Python, right? Number two is mobile applications, right? We cannot develop mobile applications directly with the help of Python. And there may be other issues I don't know, right? And another issue which I have faced is not good OOP language like Java or C++, right? So it's not a good object-oriented programming languages like Java or C++. It lacks features, right? So it lacks features. So that is a problem with the Python, right? This is the limitations about Python, right? So there are many flavors of Pythons are also available. You can have C Python, Jython, Iron Python, PyPy, Ruby Python, Anaconda Python, Stackless Python, right? So there are many version of Python, right? Currently, I am using Python. Means ki I'm using the pure Python. I'm not using any flavor, right? So if you are using any flavor, you can use other IDEs like Anaconda, right? Spider, okay. So I will be using the core Python, and sometimes I will be using IDEs also. But later on, I will introduce you the IDEs. First, try to understand the core of the Python, right? So Python. So let's try to understand the core of the Python, right? So our main job is to know this thing. This is the basic knowledge. You can talk with someone regarding Python, but our main job is to write computer programs in Python. So we are learning a programming language. So let's go to the programming language part, right? So programming language, right? So at the end of the day, it is a language, right? So Python programming language. So let me change the color. Python programming language. Language, right? So Python programming language, as it is a Python programming language, right? So it is a language, right? It is a language. So it will have letters, right? It will have letters. It will support letters. It will support digits. It will support letters, means ki A to Z or small a to Z, small z, digits 0 to 9, right? Special symbols, special symbols, special symbols like space, plus, minus, multiplication, right? Divide, power, slash, brackets, square bracket, curly braces, equal to, not equal to, double equal to, less than, greater than. If I've given comma, it will be better. Less than, greater than, period, right? Then we have single quote, right? We have single quote, we have double quote, right? We have triple quote also, triple single quote, triple double quote also we have. Okay, so these things are there. We have semicolon, we have colon, right? We have modulus operator, we have exclamation mark, we have ampersand, we have hash, sorry, We have hash, uh, less than equal to, greater than equal to, right? At the rate underscore, at the rate underscore, um, at the rate underscore, right? Yeah, comma is also there, right? Comma is also there. Comma, right, right, right. Comma is also there. Okay. So next is white spaces, right? So we have white spaces like, yeah, question mark, right? Question mark is also there. So we have white spaces, right? Like blank space, like blank space, tabs, like tabs, carriage return, return, carriage return, new line, form feed, right? So other characters are also there, right? Other characters are also there. Fine. Then there is a concept, other characters are also there. So I'm not writing all, I'm just giving you that it is a language, so it will support all these, right? So next thing is tokens, right? So next concept is called tokens, right? So in any programming language, right? So we have meaningful units, right? So those units are called tokens, right? The smallest individual, the smallest individual unit, smallest individual unit in a program is known as token, is known as token, fine, or a lexical unit, unit or lexical elements, lexical elements, fine. Say for example, I'm giving you one Python program, a sample Python program, uh, sample Python program, right? So name is equal to Amit, age is equal to 20, contribution is equal to 710.75, right? So I can write here print name, comma, comma, aged, comma, age, comma, has contributed, comma, contribution. All right. So when you write this code, it will generate Amit, aged 20, has contributed 710.75, right? So let me talk about here few things, right? So here print is a keyword, is a keyword. Here, here, this, this, comma, this, this, right? And and all these are called punctuator characters. characters, right? So here, this Amit is a string value, a string value or literal. Okay, this is called, this 20 is a- an integer literal, an int literal, right? This contribution is floating point literal, a floating point literal, right? So this is how a Python program will be written, right? So it's very close to English language, fine. So here Python tokens, right? Python tokens. So Python tokens, um, yeah. Name is a variable. Name is a variable here. Name, age, contribution, right? Name, age, and contribution is a variable here. Is a variable, or we can say object, or we can say object or reference, right? So Python has the following tokens. Python has following tokens. Tokens. Fine. So number one is keywords. Keywords. Number two is identifiers. Fires or name. Number three is literals. Number four is operators. Number five is punctuators. Punctuators. Fine. So we talk one by one on this, right? Just give me a minute. I'll drink some water and return back. So first thing is hello. Yeah, first thing is keyword, right? First option is keywords in Python. Keywords in Python, right? So a keyword in Python, a keyword is a word. A keyword is a word having special meaning, having special meaning reserved by programming language. Reserved by programming language, right? So Python programming language is a very easy language and it has some keywords, right? So let me check how many keywords Python have, right? So for that, what we have to do, okay, we go to Python. Python itself says he contains this amount of keyword. So what you have to do, you have to write here import, all right? So import keyword, right? So now Java people are feeling comfortable कि yeah, import is present over here also. But we don't have to give semicolon in Python. There is no concept of semicolon in Python. So just write import keyword and press enter key. So it will import a file called keyword, right? And then here we write keyword. Keyword file contains a list. So I will write here keyword dot kw list, list, right? Then you can see that it will display all the keyword over here, right? If I try here this print keyword dot kw list, then yeah, it is printing. Okay, it is printing the list. Fine. So now what we can do, we can make out a copy here. We can make out a copy here and we can paste it over here. So it has 35 keywords are there. Total my 35 keywords, right? So we can paste it over here. Python has 35 keywords, right? So now it is visible to everyone. Okay. So Python has 35 keywords. Let it be. Okay. So Python has 35 keyword. Okay. Fine. So currently Python has 35 keyword and earlier it was 33 keyword, right? And it has added the two new keyword. The name of the keyword is async, right? The newly keyword which is added in Python is async and lambda, right? Async or the lambda keyword. Most probably these two keywords were newly added in Python, right? It was not there in Python. Async and lambda. Okay. So anyhow, there are 35 keywords in Python, right? So currently uh, there are 35 keywords in in Python, right? So we have to use this keyword to write the program in the language. Okay, fine. So these are the 35 keyword we have in Python. Okay. So next thing is identifier. Lambda was there. So it may be anything. Maybe anything, right? Currently there are 35 keywords and you just have to know all these keywords. That's it. Okay. So, so yeah. So next thing is Python have identifier, right? So next is number two is identifier. Number two is identifier. Okay. Rishav is saying that okay, async and await. Async and await. These two are the new keywords. Okay. So anyhow, it won't matter if 35 is available, then we have to use it any day. Okay. So identifier and names. Identifier identifier are basically a fundamental building blocks of the program, right? Okay. Identifier identifier are fundamental mental building blocks building blocks of a program and and are used as the general terminology. General terminology. Fine. So and are used in the journal terminology, right? For the the names given given to different parts of the program. Different parts of the program. That is variables. That is variables, objects, classes, functions, lists, and dictionaries. Dictionaries, etc. Right? So we have to follow the identifier forming rules also, right? Identifier forming rules or identifier defining rules. Identifier defining rules in Python. It is there in every language. It is very much similar in other languages. Like an identifier is an arbitrary long sequence of letters and digits, right? So first is it must it is a long sequence of letters and digits. So the first character, the first character must be must be a letter, right? The underscore, the underscore, the underscore is also a letter, is also a letter, right? So upper and lower cases letters are different, right? Upper and lower cases, letters are different. Letters are different, right? All characters are significant. All characters are significant, significant, right? The digits 0 through 9 can be the part of identifier. The digits 0 through 9 can be the part of the identifier, identifier, except for the first character, except for the first character, right? Next thing is identifiers are unlimited in length, right? Identifiers are unlimited in length, unlimited in length, right? So when I have written this statement, right, after this, I'm teaching this thing to one of my office guy, right, and what he has done, okay, sir, he's told me, sir, I can define the identifier name like this. He has written the first character, this, and then he started writing like this, right, and then he has assigned it 10. Okay, so you can see that it is happily assigned 10 because the length can be anything, but always give meaningful names to your variable, right? Fine. Good programmers always give meaningful variable names, right? Don't give this kind of variable name to your in your program, right? It is useless, and a few people ask question, right? Useless questions. So that kind of a guy is an disturbing guy. So I make him stand in front of everyone. So that is what y- we have to do, right? Our hands were bind, so I have to make him stand to the whole lecture, whatever I have given. uh, for 45 minutes or 50 minutes, he was standing like that. I never said to him to sit down, sit down. So he has asked me, sir, if I have defined the variable like this, then. So the main thing is this: key we never give name to our kids. We never give name to our friends like this. So how we can define a variable like this, all right? So the rule is there. It is a language, and language has the limitations. So you're gonna define the variable names like this, okay? Fine. So an identifier cannot contain any special character other than except underscore. You can use underscore. You can write here underscore a name, right? Equal to, you can write a name here, Sachin, right? So it will accept it, right? So this is a valid identifier. Okay. So these are the valid identifier. Uh, but if you write here nine name, right? Equal to Sachin. Then what will happen? Okay, it will give you the syntax error because name cannot, because the variable name never starts with the digit. It always starts with alphabet or an underscore, right? Understood? So I hope everyone has understood the identifier defining rules, right? So, so it's my humble request for everyone, okay, always give, right? Always, always give meaningful names, meaningful names to the identifier, to the identifier, right? And it makes our life easier as well as the program, the person who is reading the program, his life is also easier, and he can, if he is a teacher and you are giving exam, then he can give you the marks, right? Okay. So if you are making the job of the teacher easier, you will can get the marks, and if you are working professionally, it will be helpful to you, right? So next thing is literals or values, right? Literals or values. So next thing is literals or the values. So there are different kinds of literals there in Python, or different kind of values we can store in Python, like string literals, right? String literals, string literal. I think Mr. Rishav, you have missed out a point here. I think Mr. Rishav, you are not concentrating properly and you missed out a point here. All characters are significant. What does this mean? You just try to understand, right? So a string literal, right? String literal is there. The number two is numeric literal, numeric literal. Number three is Boolean literal. Number four is special literal none, right? Special literal none. Special. In other programming languages, we have null, but here we have none, N-O-N-E, none, right? Number five is literal collections, literal collections. Okay, so there are different kinds of literal, right? The first one is string literal. So the first one is string literal, string literal, right? So the text enclosed in quotes, right? The text enclosed in quotes forms a string literal, right? A string literal in Python. So the quotes, it may be single quote like Sachin, or Sachin, right? Or you can use triple quote also, right? So if your string is of multi-line like Sachin, and in the next line you have written Tendulkar, right? You can use this triple quote, right? Or you can use single quote Sachin, Sachin, Sachin Tendulkar, right? So string literal, the text enclosed in quotes forms a string literal in Python, Sachin, or you can write it in this way also, string literal, right? If it is of multiple line, you can use the uh, triple quote, right? I will show you practically also. You just have written here, say name, right? Name equal to Sachin. I'm using here single quotes. Sachin, Sachin. Right, now you can see that it's happily stored the name, right? You can use double quote also, same thing will happen. Double quotes, Sachin, Sachin. The Sachin will be happily stored over there, right? And you can use the triple quote also, right? This is the triple quote, Sachin, Sachin, and my line is not distributed, so you can see that key triple quote is also stored here, right? But if the line is if the line is if there are multiple lines, so for example here I have written Sachin, Sachin. I pressed enter key and then I have written Ramesh, right? I pressed enter key and then I have written Tendulkar, 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 right? So Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar. Now you can see that over here there is a special character out there, right? There's a special character in the storage, right? There is a there's a special character is stored over here. Okay, fine. Let me increase the font size of all these so that you people can see it properly. Home, and I'm writing here 16. Yeah. So now you can see that a special character slash n is there, right? Slash n is there. Okay. The slash n means new line, means new line. The people who have done programming in Java also, they can easily understand, or the people who have done programming in C language, they can also understand regarding this, right? So when I give the print command over here, then you can see the result. Okay, the result will be present in multiple lines. So when I have written here print name, right? Then you can see that Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar in all three words in three different lines, right? So this is the effect of that. So let me copy this and I can paste it over in my notes so you can see the effects. I have to increase the. So you can see that it is distributed in different line, right? The output is distributed in separate lines, right? The output is separated, or instead of separated we use distributed. The output is separated, or sorry, distributed. The output is distributed in separate separate lines because of slash n storage in the string, in the str type, in the str type or string type or string type. I hope the idea is clear about string literals. I will come to string in detail also. Okay. So this slash n is called escape sequence. The new line, the symbol is called escape sequence. Escape sequence. Right. So we study about these things in detail also. The escape sequence. Okay. When we study strings, then in detail, then we will study it. Okay. So now I'm jumping to next thing called numeric literal. Okay. So next concept is numeric literal. Right. Numeric literals deals with numbers, right? And there are different kinds of numeric literal. One is int, right? SIGNED, signed integers. Integers. The another one is float. Float is floating point or real values. Floating point or real values. Real values. The next thing is complex. We can have complex type in Python also. All right. So complex deals with complex number. Complex number. Right. This type is not there in any other programming language I have seen. Right. So I've seen C, C++, Java, JavaScript, many languages I have seen, but I have not seen this complex. I've seen other old languages like Fortran. Even in that also complex is not there as a data type. So complex is there also. Fine. So let me focus. First, we focus about integer literals. Right. First is integer literal. So integer literal. Literals, or we can simply say int type. Okay. So integer literals are a whole number. Uh, integer literals are or whole numbers without any fractional part. Without any fractional part. Part. Right. So it may either contain plus or minus sign. It may either contain plus or minus sign. Okay. So Python allows three types of integer literals. Python allows three types of integer literals. Not three, actually four types of integer literals. Not three, it will be four. Four types of integer literals. Literals, right? The first one is a decimal integer literals. The second one is um, binary binary integer literals. Binary integer literals. The third one is octal integer literals. Octal integer literals. The fourth one is hexadecimal integer literals. Hexadecimal integer literals. Integer literals. Yes. Hello everyone. Uh, okay, so Python allows four types of integer literals. First is decimal integer literals, second one is binary integer literals, and the third one is octal integer, and the fourth one is hexadecimal integer literals. Okay, so let me show you how Python accepts this. Yeah. So let me show you how Python accept all these values. Okay. So let me take a variable here, say x is equal to 10. So this is normal integer variable. It is happily accepting it. Now I want to store the binary value in x. So what I will do here, I will write here 0 b, and I have stored here, right, 1 1 1 1 4 ones, right, and it will happily store the binary value. So what is the binary value of this 4 ones? Anyone, you can type it on the chat window. No one is answering. One person has answered 30. What is the binary value of 111? What is equivalent decimal value? What is the decimal equivalent value of 111? Okay, 15. Okay, she has changed the answer 15. 15. Okay. 14. Okay. So with 7. Okay. So it is saying 7. Uh, no one. There are more people here. I can see 13 participants are there. Only few participants have answered. Okay. Okay. Another person has said 7. Okay. There are 4 ones. There are 4 ones. See it carefully. There are 4 ones. Right. So let me reveal the answer. The answer is 15. Yeah. Then there are 4 ones. So answer is 15. Okay. So happily Python is storing the binary values, right? So Python can store the octal values also. You can write x is equal to, right, 0, and then you write small o, okay, and then you can write here 1, 2, 3, right? Or I am writing this just 12, right? So this is an octal value, right? So what will be the decimal equivalent for this? So the decimal equivalent for this will be 10, right? So how it is possible? Okay, 12 is becoming 10. No. So it's a very basic mathematics which we have to do. It is 12 divided by 8. So 8 ones are 8. Oh, I'm really sorry. I was doing the opposite one. Uh, yeah. So I'm doing the calculations here. What happened? So I'm doing the calculations again. 12 is there, right? It is in octal format. I have to convert it into decimal format. So what I have to do, I have to write here 2 into 8 to the power 0 and 1 into 8 to the power of 1. So 2 into 8 to the power of 0 is 2 and this one is 8, and so answer will be 10, right? So in this way we are in this way the Python is also converting. It's a decimal, integer, literal, literal. Okay. So so the next thing is Python can accept the hexadecimal value. So x is equal to, you have to write 0x, right? And you can write here f. So so it will accept the hexadecimal value, and if you type your x it will give you 15, right? So it always converts whatever the value we want to keep in x, it is converting it into decimal value, right? So we can supply any kind of integer literal to the variable, right? So, so we can supply integer, we can store binary, we can store octal, we can store hexadecimal. So I have done all 4. So let me copy this and store it in our notes. Control C and Control V. Okay, so you can see it. 16. Now you can see that, okay, here I have supplied binary, right? Here binary is supplied. Binary is supplied. You can write 0b, or you can write 0 capital B also, right? And you can, for octal, this is for octal. So for octal you can write 0, 0 small o, or you can write 0, 0 capital O also, right? And here this is hexadecimal. This is hexadecimal, decimal, right? It is preceded with 0x or 0 capital X, right? You can supply any kind of any base value you can supply in the integer, right? So next concept is floating point literal. So the next concept is floating point literal. So let me change the color. So floating point literal, literal. Right. So a floating point literals are called real literals, are called real literals. Literals, fine. It's very easy to store the floating point number in the Python also. So you can define here a variable f is equal to 10.5. So this is a floating point variable. So float float, and you can, I'm really sorry, you can type the data type of f and you can see easily type f and you can see the type. So it is a float type and you see the information pointed by f is 10.5. Okay, so this is a float literal, right? And this is called a fractional. There are two kinds of a float literal, right? One is the fractional form and another one is the fractional form. Fractional form, right? The fractional form is, say for example, in the Python literal you have seen that f is equal to 10.5. So when I have written here f, it has generated 10.5. So this is basically a fractional form, right? Okay. So you can write any kind of you can write any kind of fractions. Okay. And then there is another form, right? Then there is another form. It is called exponential form. Okay. There is another form is called exponential form. Okay. So we can represent our data in the exponential form, right? So uh, real literal in a real literal in exponent form in exponent form consists of consists of two parts. Two parts. One is mantissa, and another part is called exponent. Fine. So for instance, 5.8 5.8 can be written as can be written as 0.58 into 10 to the power of 1, right? And this can be written in Python as 0.58, right? E01, right? Here. So here 0.58, right? 0.58 is the mantissa, and this is exponent, x index, and this e means 10. This e means 10. Okay, so I hope the idea is clear now. So what is mantissa and what is exponent? This is called mantissa or the exponent. Okay, so now let me show you how Python can store. Say for example, I have written here, say pi is equal to, say I've written here 22 by 7. So let me see what it is storing, right? So I'm writing here pi, and it has stored the value 3.14257. It's a big value, right? So I want to convert the pi, right, into an exponential format, right? So pi is equal to, and I'm writing this value as control C, and I'm changing this pi 1, okay, or pi exp is equal to control V, okay, multiply by. So I want to represent this as, say I'm writing this value as delete 0 point this. So, so I can write here E01. Okay, I have written this. So let me check whether it's accepted by the Python or not. So it is not accepted by the Python. So I have to write here. So it is accepted by the Python, right? I don't have to give spaces. I have given the spaces by mistake. So it is not accepted, but when I have not given the spaces, it is accepted. And then when I'm writing here pi exp, you can see that it is showing the same value as the previous one, 3.1428571428. So we can store the exponential form in Python, right? I hope you understood this part. Okay. So you can write Python here. There's another interesting thing in Python, that a is equal to 10 comma 234, right? So it is not producing any error. Okay. So when you write here a, it is creating two numbers, 10 and 234. Okay, so that is also interesting because Python creates a list, right? Python creates a list of the numbers like this. So you can create a list of the number and those numbers will be separated by commas. Okay, so I'll come to this part later on, right? And this part is called tuple. Sometimes this part is called tuple, right? So I'm not entering into this part, this area. Okay. Uh, let's leave it till here, exponential form. I'm not entering into the tuple because there will be too much of concept to digest in one day. So, so this is the exponential form which I have created. Make it 16. Fine. So, so this is the exponential concept. Now next thing is the Boolean literal. Okay. So the next thing is the Boolean literal. So we can store Boolean values in a variable like true or false, true or false in the variable. We can write here x equal to true, or we can write here x is equal to false, and it is happily stored by the idle, right? So you go to the idle and you can store the true or false, right? Say b is equal to true, true, and it will hold true. So if you type here b, it will show you true. And if you write here type of b, then you can write here class is Boolean, right? So this is how it can store the true. And you can store false also the same way, false. And if you write here type b, it will display the false, the bool class is bool. So let's copy this also, control C. Control V. 16. I want to know about tuple. Yeah, tuple I will do it. There is a huge chapter regarding it, so I will do it. And true and false. I have done true and false. And sir, void is there in Python? No, there is nothing called void in Python, right? So special, then there is special literal called none, right? There is another literal in Python called none, right? So special, special literal is none. So none is equivalent to null in other programming language. So you can store none in any of the variable, right? And later on you can decide, say x is equal to none, none. So if you type x, you will get nothing, right? You will get no value because x is not allocating any memory. X is not allocating any memory, fine. So we will get nothing out there. So we, so we get nothing as a output. We get we get nothing. We get we get nothing. We get nothing as output, right? As memory is not allocated for the variable, not allocated for the variable. So let me check the data type of this variable, right? So we go there and we check the data type of this variable. So what is the data type of this variable, right? So we type here type of x. So it's generating none type. So class is none type. So class is none type here, right? So we can paste it here. So type the class is none type, right? So this is the none variable, right? The next thing is the next concept is the next concept. I think I have covered all the literals. Let me yeah. Let me see numerical literal. Yes. Then the last thing is literal collection, right? So I will be doing literal collections later on with you people, like tuple is there, list is there, right? There are many, dictionary is there. There are many. The list is big. So I will be doing that thing. Otherwise, it will create confusion in your head, and the things which you have got it today, you may forget. So it's better not to do right now. I will do it later on. Okay. So I've covered the most of the things. Now let me go to the operators, right? This is very much important to understand the operator part. So, operators. I will do it fast. Operators are tokens that triggers some computation, right? So operators are tokens that that trigger some computation some computation or action action when applied when applied to variables when applied to variables and other objects in an expression applied to variables and other objects in an expression in an expression. Okay, So there are different types of operator available in Python. So the first is unary operators. Unary operators, right? So unary operators are those operators that that require one operand one operand to operate upon to operate upon, right? And these are the unary operators like plus, minus, bitwise complement, and not, right? So unary plus, minus, bitwise complement, bitwise complement, and this is logical negation. This is logical negation. Negation. Right? So this is unary operator. Number two is binary operators. Binary operators, right? Are those operators, are those operators, operators that require two operands to operate on, two operands to operate upon, operate upon, right? So, in binary operators, there are different types of operators available, right? So, the first is arithmetic operators. So first is arithmetic operators. Operators. So first is addition. Addition. Second one is subtraction. Subtraction. The third one is multiplication, division, then remainder or modulus, remainder or modulus. This is called exponent, exponent, or raise to the power, or raise to power. And there is another one is called floor division. Floor division, right? So if you so you are acquainted with most of these, so I am just showing you the last two, what it is doing, right? So say for example, we have a variables here, say x is equal to 15, and I have another variable here, y is equal to 6, right? And I want to do the floor division, right? So I have written here z is equal to x, right, double slash 6. Okay, so now you can see the result of uh, z, right? I got 2. So floor division is simply means because simply means you can get the quotient only. You can get the quotient only. So let's say for example I'm changing the value of y to 9. Now again I'm trying to do the floor division. Okay, so I'm trying to do the floor division, and now you can see the result. Oh, I have written 6 directly here. Sorry, Control V. I have to write here y. So the floor division will be 1. So you always get quotient here, right? You always get quotient in the floor division. Floor division. So in floor division, what you will get? You will get quotient. And in exponent, and let me do the exponent here. So if we write here, z is equal to 2 star star 3, right? Then automatically it will be 8, right? If you write here z is equal to 2 star star 16, so it will got the value of 2 to the power 16, which is 65,536. It's a very important value. You should remember this value. 2 to the power 16 is 65,536, right? So this is how you can perform the floor division and the exponential, right? So floor division and exponential home. So let me paste it over here. Yeah, we can paste it over here. Okay. So the next thing is here it is showing when you read the notes. So this part. So next number 2 is bitwise operator, right? Number 2 is bitwise operators, bitwise operators. So the bitwise, and they work with bitwise. Then the exponential symbol is bitwise exclusive or, this is bitwise and this is bitwise exclusive or XOR, and this is bitwise OR, right? So I'll discuss all these in programming when I will do bitwise programming, right? There are shift operators, right? Shift operators. So this is left shift, shift left, and it will shift the right. So shift right. Okay. Then there is identity operators. Number 4. This is very much useful when we do object-oriented programming. So identity operators. So there is, right? Is the identity same? Identity same. So identity operator is the identity same, right? And is not is the identity not same? Is the identity not same, right? और क्या क्या था, relational operator. This is quite useful. Relational operator. Relational operators less than, greater than, less than, equal to, greater than, equal to, and then we have not equal to. This is not equal to, right? Then we have logical operators. logical operators. So logical operators are AND, A-N-D, AND, that is logical and we have OR, that is logical OR, right? So we can use this logical and logical OR. Everyone is acquainted with it, so I'm not explaining it. So number 7 is assignment operator. Assignment operator. So assignment operator is equal to assignment, right? Sorry, I pressed pressed the button of my pen. Just a minute. Control Z. So assignment operator, right? Then we can have more assignment operators like this. Assign quotient. Assignment operator, right? This is assign quotient. Assign quotient. E-N-T. Assign quotient. This is assign sum. Assign sum. You can say that these are shorthand operators, right? Assign product. Assign product. Assign a remainder. Assign a remainder. Then we have assign difference. Then we have assign exponent. Assign exponent, right? And then we have assign floor division. Assign floor division. Okay. Then we have membership operator also, right? This is also very much useful. So membership operators, right? The first operator is in, right? Whether variable in sequence, whether variable in sequence we will use. When we will use, you will understand, right? And then there is another thing called not in, right? Just opposite of in, whether variable not in sequence, whether variable not in sequence, right? So these are the operators which we are going to use, right? So unary operator is there, binary operator is there, but in Java or C++ or in JavaScript, we have another operator called ternary operator, which is absent in Python, all right? So that's the good news for us. So next thing is punctuators in Python, right? Uh, Punctuators in Python, right? So punctuators are symbols. Punctuators are symbol or symbols, right? That are used in programming languages. That are used in programming languages. Programming languages that are used in programming languages to organize to or organize programming programming sentence sentence structure structures and indicate the rhythm and indicate the rhythm the the rhythm the rhythm and emphasis of expression statements and program structure. statements and program structure. Program structure. Fine. So the punctuators which are available like single quote, right? Double quote, double quote, hash, slash, um, parenthesis, square brackets, curly braces, at the rate, right? We have comma, we have comma, comma, right? We have colon, colon, we have period, we have period, right? We have apostrophe also. This is apostrophe, right? And we have equal to. So equal to is also a type of punctuator, right? So let me show you the bare bones of a Python program, right? So that I can start programming from the next class, right? So the next thing is bare bones of Python program. So bare bones of Python programs, Python program, right? So, so I'm writing here hash. So I'm writing here hash. This program shows a program's component. This program, program program shows a program's component. And right. The next is definition of the function. Definition of function. CU follows, right? So I'm writing here a very small function here, def cu, right? And you have to write here colon. Then the class will not over. I'm writing cu just. Uh, so time to say goodbye. Time to say goodbye. After this explanation, I will teach you a few things and then I will say goodbye to you. So time to say goodbye, right? And then the function definition is over, right? So main program code follows now. Main program code follows now. Follows now. So you write here, say A is equal to 15, B is equal to A minus 10, print A plus 3. Then here you write it down. Here you write it down if if b is greater than 5, then you are writing here print value of a was more than 15 initially. Value of a a was more than 15 initially, else print value of a was 15 or less initially. value of a was 15 or less initially, and then you can call the goodbye cu cu method, right? So here what you are doing, calling the above defined function, calling the above defined function function, right? So we can see here, okay, you can see this. So now I will explain you everything over here. So let me use a green color, right? So this hash symbols are there. This the hash symbol represents comments. These are called comments, right? So whenever I have to write down a single line comment, I have to use hash symbol, right? Begins with hash, right? VEGINS begins with hash, with with hash, right? So these are A, B, right? This print, right? These are called statements. These are called statements, right? These are called statements. And here I have assigned 15, this A minus 10, this A plus 3, this A plus 3, right? This kind of thing is called expressions, right? Okay. So these things are called expression. Well, that's a nice comment. My net pack is about to expire. Okay. So if b is greater than 5, so this is also if b is greater than 5 is also an expression, right? And this colon is representing, the colon means block. Colon means it's a block. It's a block, right? So here this colon is representing a block. Colon means it's a block. It's a block, right? So here in this block we have only one statement. Here in this block we have only one statement. Here in this block we have only one statement, right? So here we have left some spaces here. You can see the space, right? This space is called indentation. Indentation. Dentation. Indentation, right? Okay. So, so, so this is called, so this is comment, very much simple. So I have explained you, okay, what are the bare bones of the program, right? So you have expressions, you have statements, you have indentation, right? You have comments. Okay. I hope you people understood what is called indentation, right? And I hope you people understood what do you mean by called statements, right? And I hope you people have understood what do you mean by comments. Okay. So here, this is a user-defined function defcu, and it will print time to say goodbye, right? Understood? And this function is called here, right? The function is called here. Okay. So let me show you how to write down a program in Python, right? So what you have to do, you have to go to Python, right? You go to file option and then click on new file, right? One one notepad kind of a thing will appear. But it is not a notepad. It is an editor provided by the Python. So I'm going to write a code over here, the code which I have written in the notes, right? And let me show you how it is working. So I'm writing here def cu, and then I'm writing here print time to say goodbye. Time to say time to say goodbye. Bye. Okay. And here I have written some comments. So let me write down a comment here. Hash this program shows shows a programs components programs components, right? Hash definition definition of function cu follows follows, right? So uh, okay, then here I'm writing another definition that another comment main program. These comments are very much important whenever you are writing programming. Whenever you are doing programming, sorry, whenever you are doing programming, you should write comments. Follows 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 now. So you can write it here. A is equal to 15. Then you write here B is equal to A minus 10 minus 10. And then here I've written print A plus 3 plus 3. And then I have written B is if B is greater than if B is greater than 5. If B is greater than 5. Then I'm writing here print print value of A value of A was more more than 15 initially. Initially, then you write here else, then you write here print value of A was 15 or less initially. Initially, okay. So then I'm calling the method cu, right? You can write your comments over here also. Hash, right? Calling above defined method. Defined method. Sorry, method will show error. Okay, let me check. So before running the code, we have to save it, right? So I'm saving it. So as this is our first code, so I'm writing the name of the program as first program, first program dot py. So I have saved it. So it's showing invalid syntax. Oh, I have not given this. Right. Right. I've forgotten to write the parenthesis. So let me save it and now it will work. So the value is 18 and the value of A was 15 or less initially. So time to say goodbye, right? So it is executing, right? So if there is a syntactical problem, Python interpreter will show you the syntactical problems, all right? And when you execute the code. And otherwise, and if there is no syntactical problem, then your code will execute properly. Okay. So we do this much today, right? And we continue after this. We continue in the next week, right? I'm just trying to introduce you Python as quickly as possible, such that we can write down programs. At least from third class, I can give you some programs to write in the Python, right? Okay. Chalo then, bye everyone.